It is time for some Halloween stamping and doing some really fun Halloween nails. What's up, nail crew? It's Nicole, your fellow nail obsessed DIYer. This is my first Maniology MxM box that I got. I am so excited. If you've been following my channel for a while or you're new here, I am obsessed with stamping over dip nails. Thank you so much, Maniology, for sending this to me for my first Mani X box. I'm going to be doing these monthly now, and I am so excited. Each month has a different theme. And this one was for Halloween. You get two really cute stamping polishes that come with it, two plates, and then they also gave you this really neat little, like I call it like a nail journal where you can practice your stamping, figure out what manis you want to do. Absolutely, I'm obsessed. So I'm going to start first with doing my dip manicure as my base, and I'm using these really fun colors that are super Halloween to me. So I decided to go with green and purple, and they're both jelly colors. They're from OG Dip Powder. They're called Don't Cross the Streams. That's the green, and then the purple is called I Can See Right Through You. So I thought it'd be really fun to do a color block in the middle of my nail, on my middle nail. I could do a half and half stamp where half of it is black, half of it is white. So on the green nails, I went with black for the stamping, and on the purple nails, I'm going to go with white, and I'll use one of the beautiful oranges that came in the Mani X Me subscription box to like pull it all together. I am absolutely obsessed with Halloween nails. I could really wear Halloween and fall nails year round, and then Christmas after that. They're just so fun. I feel like I can wear so many more stamping and decals and all that. So here, I'm going to give you some tips for when you're dipping jelly glitters. First of all, when you're dipping jelly glitters, they tend to work better with dip liquids. Now, that's not to say you can't use them with gels. You absolutely can. You just want to keep your liquids super thin regardless of what you're doing. And you really want to make sure that your liquids are even. So because of the nature of it being a jelly powder, you definitely want to make sure that those liquids are even on your nail so that you don't get any weird lumps and bumps, because the sheerness of the jelly is going to show right through. And one thing I do when I'm doing color blocking over peel base is I like to make sure I have a layer of dip base over the entire nail and it is totally dry. This way, when I put the tape down for the color blocking, I'm not accidentally pulling up my peel base. If you've been struggling with peel base, I'm going to show you the trick that I do to get my colors to stay. So once you do your first color, and I usually start with either the lighter color or the solid or shimmer, so that if I'm doing a glitter or a darker color, I don't contaminate it. Once you're done with your however many dips you do of the first color, take activator and just put it on that side of the color block. This way, by the time you go to do the next color, that first color is set and it's not going to be moving around. It's not going to get contaminated. You're not going to mess it up. It is so much easier once I started doing it this way, because let's say you get a little bit of dip base over your color block line. No big deal. You can just wipe that part off because the first color has been activated. So it's easy to wipe the dip base off. You'll notice when I'm going through and doing my jellies, if I do too many strokes of the dip base brush on my nail, I kind of very gently go back over the entire nail to make sure that the dip base is even. And that to me is key when you're dipping jellies. I mean, you can see on all of my jellies that they look really even. That was something that took me a while to figure out. Okay, this did not come naturally to me. I have to say it. I'm really honest about this kind of stuff. Dipping my nails did not come naturally to me. So if you are looking for somebody to watch who keeps it real, tells you, what works, what doesn't just, jump on here and like, oh, here's my pretty nails, you are in the right place, because I am always going to keep it real. I'm going to show you when I mess stuff up. I'm going to show you later in the mani what I did wrong with my stamping and on my ring finger and how it ended up looking a little funny. When you're doing a color block, if you're really concerned that you're going to get liquid onto the other side of the color block, you can, since you've activated that side of your nail, you can actually put your masking tape or nail tape back down over the first side, And then this way it's easier for you. I don't do that because I'm not super particular. I just do my best to keep the color lines really straight and then I just go for it. If you know me, you know that, yeah, like, you know, you're gonna know that I am not super particular, that what I do is kind of just what I do. And if I make a mistake, I figure out a way to fix it. One of the ways that you really can protect your jelly colors is by doing clear dip powder down as your last layer. I know everybody doesn't use clear over solids and shimmers. They mostly use over glitters, but for me, using clear over every single color I do, solid, shimmer, flake, foil, glitter, chrome, dip powder, whatever I'm doing, I always use clear as my last layer because it protects your nails when you go to buff and shape. So, you work so hard to get your colors applied evenly and really nice. And then if you don't put clear as your last layer when you buff and shape, if you do it too aggressively, you're going to go right into your color and ruin that beautiful look that you just spent all this time doing. So I put clear over every single nail. And then I like to go through and I brush off any excess powder before I activate my nails. Now, I actually use a stiff nail brush to brush off my excess powder with every single layer. For me, that has been huge. I know some people use a fluffy brush and it works fine for them, but for me, I really like to make sure that there is no excess powder left. After you've activated, once your nails are nice and hardened, you can go through with either a buffing block or a flexible file like I'm using. I like to use a flexible file just because my hands are really big and a bit clumsy. So using the flexible file really allows me to like maintain that C curve and get into all the nooks and crannies of my nail. Now we're going to jump in with this really fun stamping. So the first thing that I like to do on a new stamping plate is I like to wipe it off with 100% pure acetone. That's going to clean it so that I can get the best pickup possible. And I also like to take my stampers and just roll them over a lint roller to make sure that there's nothing like any oils or anything else stuck to it. Here are some tips for picking up an image. Since we're going to be doing reverse stamping, you want to get that entire image since it's going to go down to over my entire nail. You put enough stamping polish down that you cover the entire image, but not so much that you're flooding the plate. And then what you want to do with your scraper is scrape down firmly and quickly at a 45-degree angle. Now, one thing I did notice when I did the white, because I wanted the same image on both my pointer and my ring finger, was that I didn't scrape down hard enough. And so I did a second quick scrape. This is something that you're going to have to learn how it feels. So once you get these down, it's going to take some practice to figure out how much you have to scrape, how much polish that you need. All these things come with practice. And I know sometimes I make it look easier in videos. It was not easy for me in the beginning. I just did not do that great of a job until I really, really practiced. Then on my middle finger, I wanted to do half black, half white of one of the ghosts. So I just put black polish on one side, white on the other, and very carefully scraped down so that then I could get the black and white look going on my middle nail. So then on one side, on the green side, it was black, and then on the purple side, it was the white part of the ghost. I absolutely love doing that. I'm not always great at it, but it worked really well this time. I feel like now I know it works better when I'm doing a little bit bigger of an image. The ghost was a decent size, so I felt like, I had the room to work. Once your images are picked up for the reverse stamping, you have to let them dry for a few minutes before you go in and try to fill in the colors. And that's all reverse stamping is. So once you get that initial image picked up, you use masking tape just to like pull off any pieces that, were any images that were picked up that you don't want on your stamped image. Then I use a little nail art palette, put some of the color on it that I want to fill in my stamped image with. And I was just going for orange because this is all I wanted with it. I wanted it to look super Halloween with orange, green, and purple. I'm using the Maniology nail art brushes, which I'm absolutely obsessed with. They work so well for the fine detail reverse stamping. I've seen people use dotting tools, but my hands are way too clumsy to do that. I used toothpicks for a while, But again, my hands are really big, so the toothpicks, while they worked, it just was like my hands couldn't hold the toothpick well. So for me, using the fine nail art brush from Maniology worked so much better. I let my reverse stamped images dry for a while because that's the key to doing the reverse stamping is you want to let your image dry for a while. Then I use the Uber Chic nail art barrier. That's the white that you see around my skin, but I accidentally forgot to press play on my phone, so I didn't get that part recorded. And then you also need sticky base when you're doing reverse stamping. So the sticky base needs to be sticky, it can't be wet, and it can't be dry. You want that in between sticky tackiness. And on my first nail on the pointer, it went really well because I very gently pressed the image down. While I was rushing, we had family come over unexpectedly. So I was rushing to get my nails done. And what I accidentally did on my ring finger was I squished the stamp down too hard. So my little ghosts are like squeezed up, squished ghosts, but that's okay. One, I didn't have time to redo it. And two, I really just was like, oh well, they still look cute. They're just squishy ghosts instead of the nice spread out ones. Once you have all your stamped images down, you want to top everything with the smudge-free top coat. I'm using Maniologies for that as well. And that needs to dry about 5 to preferably 10 minutes before you go and you try to put your dip top coating on. Because if you do that smudge-free top coat, cap your edges and let it totally dry, again, preferably 10 minutes, you can do your dip top coating like you normally would, which is amazing for me because it makes the stamped image last so long and it just seals it in there really well. So you go through with your activator and then your 2 layers of top coat. Just make sure that you follow the instructions of whatever company you're using. I'm doing OG dip powder, so I followed their instructions. One of the biggest keys to stamping is continuing to practice, and that's what we're going to do next. Check out this next video where we learn more easy stamping. Thanks for joining me today, Nail Crew.